Welcome to Bloodbath and Beyond. Today we review Beneath. They're only friends on the surface.
Directed by Larry Fessenden, starring Daniel Zovatto, Bonnie Dennison, Chris Conroy, Johnny Orsini, Griffin Newman, and Ruthie from Seventh Heaven, Mackenzie Rosman. Beneath is about 6 friends going on their last hurrah after graduation. In order to get to their campsite, they have to take a boat across this lake. There's potential that there's a giant fish in there that eats people. Little spoiler, there is. And the fish eats their paddles, so they can't leave. They are stuck on the boat, and they have to deal with how they can get out of this lake without being eaten by a giant fish. This was actually a recommendation from our Big D, our biggest donator over on Patreon, Deke. He recommended this, so thank you for the support. We appreciate it. If you guys want to hear more about our Patreon stuff, links are in the description. This is the second movie he requested. He requested The Cottage first, now Beneath. So let's get into the review. What do we like?
For a one-location film, I was impressed at how tense and how well paced this film was. They're on a boat, and they're only on the boat in the lake, so you think that this film would get boring, but it doesn't. I was on the edge of my seat at moments. They did a lot of fake outs, and it had you guessing like who was gonna be the next victim.
I completely agree. I like the one location kind of style of movie because it adds for way more character development. In this one, the characters were very fleshed out, but like in like an aggravating way. You're gonna like maybe 1 or 2 characters, but for most of the movie, you're gonna hate all of them. And I thought that was an interesting way to go.
That's what's fun about the film. They develop these characters to hate that you want to see die.
And it was almost designed for the audience. Like, okay, that sounds pretty standard. Movies are designed for audiences, you dick. They're all stuck in this boat. There has to be a decoy, and the decoy is basically throw one of your friends into the water, he'll get eaten by a fish, and then we'll try and get to shore real quick by paddling like a fucking asshole. It is made for people to yell at the screen and say, fuck that guy, I like him. No, wait, fuck him harder. I like him. And after looking into this, I think that those exact decisions are why this got like very negative reviews across the board when it came out.
I think more people were just angry at the movie, and when you get angry, you're gonna dislike it, but it's intentional anger. And
yes.
I think the director did a great job at that. There's a lot of things the director did great in this movie. The cinematography is just very impressive. The fact that they shot it on a boat and it was steady, it looked good.
And even before they even got onto the boat, we had a really impressive long take while they're actually carrying the boat to the water. That was amazing. And I think what tied everything together was like the sound design. I really like the sound design because there's something about the sound of water. It can be calming and soothing at times, and it can also be very intense when people are screaming for their lives as they're getting eaten by a huge stupid looking fish.
This fish, not stupid looking at all. This was a huge, cool looking fish. I'm a sucker for like monsters and things like that, so maybe it's a little biased, but I loved it and wanted to see more of it.
I can appreciate the fish, but yeah, he just looked like something you would fillet and eat. Is basically doing the opposite. He's looking at you like, I'm gonna eat the shit out of you. Now let's move on to our dislikes.
Despite appreciating this story and really enjoying the pace, I felt it was missing reason for why the fish was there. Someone had to say like, oh, this fish is a mutation, or oh, this fish has been like an ancient creature since the dawn of time. I don't care what the reason was, we just never had a reason for why this fish is in the lake.
And they did have, you know, like the standard local who knows the history, played by Mark Margolis. He's Crazy Ralph in this situation and could just give one line of dialogue that explains the whole damn situation. Towards the end of the film, we learn a little bit more about some of the relationships that are happening within the boat. And then you have, for example, our major D-bag just turn on a dime to be like a normal guy. And I can't really see how the character could just stop being a douchebag and be a nice guy now. It did work, but like his character just seemed off for the rest of the film.
Another character that I felt the development was really awkward was Johnny. At the beginning, he's established as like the protagonist, but he didn't feel like the protagonist in this movie.
You know, I didn't plan for this to happen, Matt.
It just felt weird to not really see his character develop or him make the decisions that he made without the reasoning behind it.
He knew about the lake and yet like never really mentioned it except like we shouldn't go swimming here. And then he just sulked in the back of the boat. It is worth mentioning while talking about Johnny, I know this isn't a dislike, it's a side, but he's also the same guy from like It Follows and he's Money from Don't Breathe. He's a fucking gangster with a gun, robbing blind dudes. Now it's time for our final thoughts and ratings. Beneath was a pretty decent one location movie. The characters and the character development kept things interesting despite me wanting to murder all of them. It was impressive how the cinematography was done. I really liked the big fish as far as like using a non-CG fish, like a big practical fish. It was great, except it did look dumb as hell. For the most part, this movie was pretty good. I don't think it deserves the hate that it received back in the day, but I had a good time screaming at the projector. At the end of the day, I'd probably recommend this, especially if you like one location movies. It's more closer to The Sand than it is closer to The Shallows, even though it probably takes place right in the middle. So with that being said, I'm gonna give this 3 Ruthie booties out of 5.
Now, Deb, can I get a quick shot of your butt?
I was impressed with this movie. From a technical standpoint, the cinematography was great, the audio was great, it all made me feel tense when the moments called for it. I liked that it was one location. I hated all of the characters, and that's a good thing in this film because the intention is to want to hate these characters, get mad at the movie, and you just want to see them die. There's a few things in the story that I wish we learned more of, especially the history of the fish, but to me, it didn't make or break the movie. I had a great time watching this, and I think a lot of people should check it out. So with that being said, I'm gonna give this film 4.5 sticks out of 5.
I got sticks!
As always, thank you for watching. Like this video and comment below with your thoughts on the film if you've seen it. Once again, big shout out to Deke. We appreciate you, and we appreciate all of you. And if you're new, we appreciate you too, especially if you subscribe to the channel to stay updated with everything Bloodbath and beyond.